You press the shutter button, and a perfectly pristine, beautifully lit masterpiece pops onto your screen. But this is the reality, a muddy, pixelated mess of raw sensor data that the phone has to interpret in real time. Smartphone photography is shifting toward a process of reconstruction rather than simple capture. The image you see is a digital approximation of what the device thinks you want to see. For decades, we were trained to judge camera quality entirely by hardware. We obsessed over megapixel counts and stared at the tiny plastic lenses on early 2000 cell phones, assuming that better glass was the only path to better photos. The Xiaomi 16 Ultra represents the current peak of this hardware-first marketing. It's presented as the ultimate mobile optics platform, carrying sensors and glass that suggest it can compete with professional rigs. Focusing on these physical specs alone misses the most complex part of the process, the digital work that begins the instant you touch the screen. There is a single, silent millisecond between the second you press the shutter and the finished image appearing in your gallery. We need to look at what specific, invisible actions the Xiaomi 16 Ultra takes in the dark during that tiny window of time. Analyzing this millisecond reveals the true nature of the images we're creating and whether they're still photographs or simply prompts for an algorithm to draw for us. The industry calls this computational photography. Originally, that was a way for software to fix white balance issues or slightly bump up the contrast so your shadows weren't completely crushed. Look at this style. The software stops simply correcting and starts hallucinating new details that were never there. Modern algorithms go beyond lighting adjustments. They actively invent details, like craters on the moon or skin pores, that the physical lens couldn't actually resolve. You look closely at the hard physics of mobile camera glass, and you realize it has strict, inflexible limits. Generative algorithms, however, can bypass those limits by simply dreaming up what should be there. The physical lens acts like a rough tracing guide, while the software acts as the artist doing the actual drawing. To see how this works in practice, we need to look at the 16 Ultra in the real world. Let's isolate the 16 Ultra's physical lens from its invisible software processing to see what's really happening behind the scenes. The internal neural network scans the viewfinder constantly. Point it at a lawn and it identifies grass before you've taken the shot. Because the actual optical capture is blurry, those messy pixels are replaced with a crisp, pre-rendered grass texture pulled straight from the training data. This happens with distant signs, too. If the lens can't read the pixels, the software guesses the lettering and drops in perfectly clean, artificial typography. Smartphone brands often lean into this nostalgic aesthetic, using vintage branding and mechanical dials to suggest a connection to traditional, purely optical photography. They market the prestige of physical optics while delivering a silent image generator that operates almost entirely through code. The modern smartphone functions as a high-end rendering engine. We are living in a period where taking a picture is a collaboration between your framing and the algorithm's imagination. It takes incredible engineering to overcome the tiny physical limitations of a phone sensor. But the marketing often hides the reality of that engineering by pretending it's just better glass. This shift changes how we record history. Our digital memories are no longer strictly authentic reflections of the past. They are stylized interpretations of it. The Xiaomi 16 Ultra is a marvel of machine learning, but it also blurs the line between a camera and a generator. Take a pause and look closely at your own camera roll, the perfect, pristine portraits, and the hyper-detailed, vibrant landscapes. If an algorithm hallucinated 40% of the detail in your favorite memory, does it still count as a photograph? Let me know what you think in the comments. Drop a sub if you want to see what's really inside your tech, and I'll see you in the next one.